What is going on, guys? This is the 5 Yard Podcast with me, Sudi, and this is Sham. And today we'll be previewing match day 5 of the Premier League of what is already massively exciting season. We have huge games in store. Currently, the top of the league is Everton and Giant Slayers Villa after the 7-2 win. So
Are they
let's
up there on
just
goal
looking at the
difference,
game.
or
Just looking at the game. Sorry, what was that?
are they up there on goal difference?
No, well, Villa didn't play the first week, so they're actually Villa's. They're second on points, but like they could be top.
Oh wow.
They
Mm.
got more goals as well. Obviously they got more goals than Everton at the minute on the goal difference. I mean, but anyway, how are you doing, Sham? What's happening all the way in Perth?
Yeah, good, good. To be honest, as United man, I'm still recovering from that 6-1 loss.
Yeah.
I heard Bruno's had a few words with Maguire in the dressing room, which I think is good actually. You can't walk off after the first half of that game and not say something. So good on him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Is that right? I didn't hear that.
Hmm?
I didn't hear that.
Fernandez came into the dressing room just yelling at Maguire, threw a few swear words and told him he wasn't fit to wear the shirt. So, and that's why they couldn't calm him down. They basically subbed him off because they couldn't calm him down. Is the story. So,
Whoa. Did he go off at half time? I can't remember.
yeah, he came off. He came off with Matic, and then Fred and McTominay came on. They just tried to buckle down the midfield a bit, which is good. Maguire, like he had a good last season. The problem is he's been bought to have a great last season and a great season, and it's just I don't know if he's tired from last season plus the whole Greece thing. I think mentally he just looks a bit shot and just lacking confidence. But Bruno's not afraid to say what he thinks, and I like that.
No, he's never been. Even from the start. I remember his first ever game. He's just giving out commands. He's been at Old Trafford for 5 minutes. Anyway, that's good to hear, I guess, for me as United fans. Anyway, so kind of go as we said before, the less kind of blockbuster games. We got Burnley, Villa. I like to go Leicester City, Aston Villa. I think it's gonna be a good game. Where do you see Villa after that game? Like mindset, where do you see them going with this game against City? Sorry, Leicester City.
To beat Liverpool, but there were 2 goals from clear errors. There were 3 shots from deflections, which could go anywhere really. They were good value to win the game, but to beat Liverpool by 5 goals is an aberration. Let's be honest.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was kind of the miracle in grass, if you know what I mean. But
I like that. Yeah.
but no, I mean they maybe they got a bit of a fillip from just avoiding relegation. It's amazing that they sort of scraped through and avoid relegation, and now they're second on the table. So it'll be interesting. The smart money is Leicester, but Leicester do like counter punching, and they are playing at home. So it'll be interesting to see how that game turns out. It's a curious one. I'll put it that way.
It wouldn't be uncommon to see a side that is kind of struggling for form a little bit. I wouldn't say entirely, but when they lost to West Ham, they lost to Arsenal in the last 3 games, and you see a Villa side which I like they haven't lost. I think you're kind of gonna see two kind of very chaotic forces kind of stabilize in this game. Very very likely a draw for me. I think draw, low scoring. It's 2 teams just trying to make the most of these current situations from either side of the kind of either side of the spectrum. So yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I'd say a draw for me. What about you?
Yeah. One if a team wins it, they'll nick it by a goal, but more likely.
Absolutely, yeah. Moving over to West Ham, Tottenham. So Tottenham, as we know, coming off 6-1, huge win. Like cannot understate. Like they tore United apart. Even they got 3 before the goal. No, they got 2 before the red cards.
That win, like it was like as much as we say, Liverpool lost by 5 goals, there was some freaky things that happened in that game, but Tottenham proper deserved that win. Credit's due.
Absolutely. I'm interested to know if Mourinho is going to make Harry Kane more of a false 10 or false 9 maybe. Where I see the way he spreads the ball, I see the way he's doing a lot of things that Rooney was doing 3 or 4 years earlier than Rooney actually started doing it.
Actually, a lot like Karim Benzema from Madrid.
Say again?
A lot like Karim Benzema at Real Madrid with Ronaldo and Bale.
Yeah, he's doing a lot more of the assisting, but I think he's more intelligent than.
And then come up and join the attack. He will score more goals than Benzema, but that sort of coming deep and linking play is not dissimilar to that role that he had.
Yeah. It's very interesting because I always, you typically find, I don't know a striker like that who's as creative as he is lethal. Could you think of one?
Well, to be honest, those two are probably the ones that strike me in
Yeah,
terms of that. But you don't think of too many strikers that sort of similar numbers of goals and assists. Um,
yeah. No, I guess
he's
Thierry
got
Henry
such
would
an
have been
incredible season. Sorry.
Thierry Henry, but not in the same way Harry Kane is creative. Thierry Henry has that ability to set up 10, 15 a season easily.
Yeah, but
Um,
I mean, if you're comparing someone to Terry Henry, he must be doing something right.
Absolutely. Don't tell the Spurs fan that. But and look at you're looking at West Ham as well. 3-0, they fairly good form, man. The last four games they've beaten Hull 5-1, the Wolves 4-0, lost to Everton 4-1, and then they beat Leicester in the last game 3-0. So I'd say generally enough.
Didn't they like play
Yeah,
Arsenal?
the start of the
Pushing
first
really
game of
hard.
the season. Excuse
Yeah,
me, first game of the season, 2-1 they lost.
yeah, but I remember
Um,
Arsenal scored quite late in that game. Like they were really
they
rattled.
did. Saka, I believe it was Saka. No, it was Eddie Keita.
Yeah,
Nikita, sorry,
like
scored the
any
85th.
or
All right.
something. But yeah,
Yeah. So of all those games, losing to Everton 4-1 is a bad scoreline. But I can just clicking on it now. I bet Calvert Lewin scored. Yeah, hat trick by Calvert Lewin in a 4-1 game. So I think again another good game. Moyes versus Mourinho, two old United managers, very experienced managers for the teams they're coaching. What do you see in this game?
yeah. The West Ham have got a bit of a they do have ability to punch up front quite hard, and so do Tottenham actually.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see what happened with the Tottenham United game was that Tottenham basically asserted dominance in the midfield. They completely choked United and then just hit them really hard on the counter.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. This is a Tottenham home game. Will they try and take the attack a bit more to United? They had quite a physical midfield. Um, is there enough creativity there? Which I suppose is why Kane does drop back at times. Be interesting to see if they change things up and attack. Well, I think West Ham will probably play pretty similar to the way they normally play. I think it's Antonio up front, isn't it? Like he's a bit of a handful of a striker.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like he's sort of in the game all the time. So I do suspect Tottenham will get the points, but it looks like it could be a very interesting game.
All right. Yeah, I'd be hard to. It's going to be hard, but I definitely lean towards Tottenham in this one. I think they're in good form. They're a good team on good form, whereas West Ham is an average team on good form, and you pick the better team. And I think Tottenham, with players that they have, can only get better and better and better. Bale might be available this game as well, which just changes it. The last time Bale played against West Ham in
Going on
2013.
with Bale, is it a registration thing or an injury thing?
No, it's just a fitness thing. I think it's a minor. I think it's a little niggle, but I think it's just generally a fitness thing. Last time Bale played against West Ham, he scored I think it was like a 35-yard, knuckleball goal into the top corner. It was back in 2013. I remember it so well. It was probably like the 87th minute. Bale loves playing against West. He's got a fair few goals against West Ham in general. So
if you've got Bale at top form, Son at top form, and Kane at top form, that's a pretty decent trident to attack with.
and you have a Mourinho side that can, if he balances it out well, it could be maybe his last great club side potentially.
Yeah.
I don't. It's hard for Mourinho to go back to any top club again, so he can make a top club out of Tottenham. They are a top club. Sorry, he can recreate the kind of Pochettino
They're a
years.
top club, but they're not the top club. And for him to
Yeah,
get back into the oligarchy, he has to win something with Tottenham, really.
yeah, and I think I can very clearly see him doing something and taking the next cycle of Euros and World Cups of Portugal. Which I wonder if he wants to take Ronaldo again, because he has his pick. If he wants the Portugal job, he almost has it in the next cycle of things.
You think so?
Yeah.
But Ronaldo would be like 36, 37, won't he? I mean, they're
Still
going
young.
to 55, but he'll still be 36.
Yeah, still young.
Yeah.
Anyway, so next game we wanted to talk about. We'll get into the big teams. There's a couple of smaller games here. Brighton, Crystal Palace. I see Brighton taking that. I think you do as well. Sheffield, Fulham. Two teams kind of struggling a lot this year, especially Fulham.
Don't stay up late for that game. I think it's it's the early game.
The bottom two sides, Fulham.
Yeah. Start a bit later in the night if you like. Have an afternoon nap.
Chelsea, Southampton. Again, good game, but I don't see much from South. So what?
Stamford Bridge,
Southampton, what are they doing? What are they doing? Well, they're above United and City, but mixed form.
Everybody is above United and City.
2 wins, 2 losses. Never really scored much. Ings hasn't really hit the ground running just yet. Where do you see this going? I don't see past Chelsea in this, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they have too much quality, frankly. And it's at Stamford Bridge. They played very well against their last game. I forget who it was against. They won 4-0. Oh, Palace. They beat Palace 4-0.
That's right. Yeah.
Goals came from funny sources. I think Jorginho,
Jorginho 2
and
penalties.
then Zuma and Chilwell. Chilwell played very well.
He's
And the
Chilwell.
thing about
Yeah.
him is a bit unique. He's the only sort of major signing they had that came from a British club. So the other players would probably take a bit longer to assimilate, but he's done pretty well, Chilwell. You'd think they just have too much quality, don't you?
Chelsea's a funny club. Like they're a very weird club to say. Like they have a long history of very, very good fullbacks, starting from Ashley Cole, Matt Letizia, not Matt Letizia, Graham Lasso, Will Gallas. From then on, they've just had a really good history of really good fullbacks, and they seem to just pick it really well. And I always thought Aspilicueta is probably the best fullback of the last 10 years or so.
I think he was when they had the Carragher and Neville did their team of the 2010s. Like he was like the unanimous pick for fullback. I think they put him left back. And
yeah, I don't
like him at right back, but they
yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, very good.
Luke Shaw had that ability, but he could have been in there, but he's just not. He's just not. I mean, say Luke Shaw's played a good 7-8 years of the last decade of the 2010 to 2020. Could have been in that bracket, but it's a shame. But no, I'm just saying.
It sounds so strange to say. They bought him 6 years ago.
2013.
Was 2013? Okay, I thought it was 2014. Okay.
Yeah, oh no, you're right. Sorry. First year of Van Gaal. Yeah, 2014. You're right. Yeah, look, Chelsea. So let's go to the 3 big ones. The big ones. Newcastle United versus Man United. You can say 2 fallen giants now.
Sorry. You're classifying this as a
division fallen champions.
Classifying this as a big game.
No, I'm classifying a big game because it's almost too. It's to us, is a big game. Any United game is a big game, but I say it in the sense you almost have this like you wouldn't be. I wouldn't be surprised if United lost. I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle got hammered. It's 2 at the minute. Joke of clubs.
Yeah,
joke
of put money on this game. I don't care if you're an addict. Do not put money on this game.
Absolutely. I can't even analyze this game. I don't know what's going on with United at the moment. They've got the 2 young wingers that they've bought, Facundi Palastri, Armand Traore. They went and bought Cavani, who won't play this game. That's confirmed. He's in isolation because of he doesn't have COVID. He's in a travel isolation.
Quarantine period because he's come to England or something.
Absolutely, he's in that. He's doing that. And who else did they buy? Van der Beek has been playing since the start. But I mean, Newcastle is generally not in the worst form. I have to say as well. If you're talking about form,
where are they on the table?
They've gone and beat Burnley. They drew to Tottenham. They've had 2 good cup games. They lost to Brighton 3-0. Okay, fair enough. They beat Newcastle. So they beat Blackburn. They beat West Ham. Like, not the worst, man. Not the worst form.
And quite up and down. Yeah.
It's more up than down.
And they did buy some good players in the summer, didn't they?
Yeah. Tottenham should have beaten them. But yeah, I mean, no United. We don't need to repeat the form again and again. But I mean, if you talk about up and down, it couldn't be more up and down than United at the moment.
If United lost this game, like the ramifications of that could be very big for the club.
Yeah.
I mean, they've gone and got 4 players on transfer deadline day. 2 of them are not going to play for a while. At least the 2 wingers will not play for a while. The Traore, I don't know if it's a work easier thing, but apparently he's under police investigation. Have you heard that story about him? No, it's nothing. What happened is he came from, he's from Cote d'Ivoire, right?
Yeah.
So there were 2 Italian immigrants from Cote d'Ivoire whose surname is Traore. And they signed something when our Traore player, Diallo, was 12 with another fella. And they signed a document saying, these are our sons and they're in Cote d'Ivoire and we should bring them over to Italy. It was kind of a thing set up by a football agent. The 2 boys were 12. Diallo's become a pro player and has had spent the last few months cooperating with the authorities about his actual residency status. So I'm not sure if he's going to... It looks like through cooperating, he'll retain his Italian citizenship. He's applied for a Cote d'Ivoire citizenship because he doesn't have one. And they don't know yet how United are going to register him. Like, they don't know if he'll register him as an Italian or from Cote d'Ivoire. So
Oh, Sean. Okay.
So that's our new £40 million signing. Yeah. And
Um,
yeah,
but the Facundo
I think
Palestri, he's coming in.
there's talk about him not coming till January or whatever the winter window is, and I think it's to do with that. I think they're just trying to sort that out before he comes. Um, and then the young other fella is like 18 years old, and then Cavani, I think, is a decent signing, but he's sort of what is it? He's a bit better than a Gallo at his age. 5 years too late, unfortunately. I don't know who the other signing is. Oh, the left back. Yeah, Tellez.
So,
That's probably the with the Van der
oh,
Beek.
Tellez. Of course, Tellez. So Tellez, okay, yeah. So Tellez might play. I think he will play, actually. And I think potentially United might go back three because guess who got injured again? On
Sure.
Eric Bailly got injured again.
Bye. Oh.
And Jones will never play again. Jones got he's left out of the squad, the Champions League squad. Like he's never gonna play again, even if he's fit.
Yeah.
Tuanzebe's
It,
not
it would
fit.
take it would take a massive COVID outbreak for him to play. I think to be.
Yeah, I think United. You know, the aim of the game this time around is to get a 1-0 win, beat Newcastle, and just steady the ship. That's the aim of the game, if you ask me.
If Bailly's not playing, they'll play Maguire, Lindelof, and
Shaw
Shaw.
in the middle, who's done well in the past, to be fair, in a back three. Or they could just go 4-4-2. Tell us. I don't think Shaw will see much first team football again. It's so hard to justify it after that game when you have a guy sitting on the wings waiting to play. A very good, not by any means world class, but very good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought Maguire was more at fault for United's performance than Shaw, but Shaw does have a cross on his back to bear. His yellow
Yeah.
card was very cynical at the end of the game as well, so it gives him
He's
attention
what,
for
sorry?
no reason. Hmm?
What? He's what, sorry? What did you
He
say?
got a yellow card very late in the game. He was just tired and just decided I'm going to run through this guy, and it was like a professional foul, but just
Yeah.
slightly less than thuggish. Yeah.
I completely agree when you say Maguire, but I will say this, man. Shaw, we said now, 6 years he's had to become a not, obviously people thought he could be the next left back for the next 10 years. Like, he'd be the left back for the next 10 years. They've had that. But I mean, no, like it's too long. It's been too long.
He's about
He,
24 now, so you'd think it's more unlikely than
25,
likely that
24,
he
25,
gets
yeah.
to that level, that sort of Ashley Cole level that people had marked him out to be.
It's not gonna happen.
Could
It's
do it,
just not.
but the odds are diminishing every day, aren't they?
It just if you just if you look at him, you just go, are you like you see Rooney had that kind of physique as well, where he does put on a few kegs. If he doesn't have 2 games in a row, kind of thing. But you think Luke Shaw would know that by now? You know, you think he'd know that by now. He'd make the necessary adjustments. But he just does look a bit lethargic in games. He's just never quite done it for me. You know?
It's interesting that like Rooney came through an environment with a lot of very strong senior players. Ronaldo was
Yeah.
trying to become the best player in the world. He had Vidic and Ferdinand and Evra and Van der Sar and all these, like Van Nistelrooy when he first came. Like he would have picked the Scholes, Neville, Giggs, all those guys, and just picked up a bit on the professionalism. You, if Luke Shaw had been, say, Luke Shaw was signed when Patrice Evra was signed, for example, and he was around those players and he was picking up stuff from them, maybe he would have quite a different career. Maybe he'd learn yoga from Ryan Giggs or something. I don't know. Like, he,
Yeah.
you
That's a fair
wonder if
point.
the
Like,
environment has not helped him, and maybe he didn't have the opportunity to make the same decisions as Rooney. But I completely agree with you. I completely agree with what you're
that's
saying.
a fair point if you think about it, because you think about some of the younger players who didn't get a chance because Vidic and Ferdinand was so good. Shawcross, one of the greats of the last decade. I know one of the greatest players for Stoke. Johnny Evans, Jared Piqué. We don't need to say that. I can't think off the top of my head right now, but you get what I'm trying to say. Danny Welbeck, standard EPL play, like that kind of thing. These guys have maximized the talent they have, but you'll never see that from Shaw. Shaw is the talent again to be
Yeah.
had the talent to be one of the best to
But
do it. But
that's what it means to have senior players around. So the senior players in this team are supposed to be guys like Bruno and Pogba and Maguire and De Gea, but you'd only really say if Bruno seems to be
yeah,
fulfilling that role at the moment at the club.
and just one last point. We'll get back to the game now. I guess we've gone on a tangent here, but look,
It's a
Newcastle for me,
weekly United tangent, yeah.
we just as a side note before you get on, just 2 seconds. That kid Facundo Palestri, the Uruguayan, not Cavani, obviously. He can and is eligible to play next weekend.
I don't know anything about him. All I know is that he's 18 years old and he's from Uruguay.
Don't know
So
anything. And you know what? All the better. There's no fucking pressure on the fella. He's 18, man. Like
Yeah.
he could be my kid if I had a kid when I was 12, you know, but I didn't.
One thing Uruguay, right? 3 million people. Look at the footballers they produce. 3 million
Yeah,
people. That's crazy. I mean, they won
yeah.
two World Cups back when the World Cup was like before 1950, but like just to think that, like you think of Cavani, you think of Suarez, you think
Uruguay. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, Uruguay has that thing. Uruguay has that thing that Cuba has, where Cuba doesn't have very many people. I think it's like population of Cuba is like 5 million, maybe.
In terms of baseball. Have you
Uh,
ever
I'm
represented
not. Well,
baseball?
they have like Cuba's 11 million, which is still quite small, but like they have the best wrestlers in the world. They have some of the best martial artists. They have some of the best
Probably
baseball players
boxers
in the world.
as well. Yeah.
And I think personally it comes from a kind of crossbreeding kind of thing where like Uruguayans love it, like Italians, a lot of Germans, World War II, a lot of World War II people came from Argentina, and that might be a thing. They just have good genetics, you know. Look at Cavani,
Yeah,
fuck me, he's handsome.
I don't know an awful lot about Cubans. I know that they're good in martial arts and they're massively like the American teams, the MLB teams in baseball, like try and get as many Cuban players as they can. Apparently, the domestic league is absolutely phenomenal in Cuba,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
quite
no, it is.
by what's happened over there and all that.
Yeah.
But Uruguay, man, like you look at teams that like you look at the countries that make World Cup finals. You look at Germany, Italy, Brazil. Um, I was doing something the other day. I think I have like the 38 spots, or there's like 20 World Cups. There's like 40 spots in World Cup finals, and like Brazil, Italy, and Germany have like 30 of them.
Yeah.
Like France and England, people think they're thoroughbreds. England's made one World Cup final. France has made two. Spain's made one. And Uruguay, just every bloody time they play, just manage to do it. Like just there's something here. I know what you're saying about genetics, but there's something here in the
Oh
Uruguay.
yeah, absolutely as well. Yeah, the home of football, man. In many ways, one of the homes of football. Anyway, let's go into the big two. So we'll go with Arsenal, Man City first.
Hmm.
We've said before, the Arteta project is very much something I believe in. We believe in. Man City seem to be in a slightly transitionary period. I wouldn't go as far as to say they're not in the title race because we know what happened last weekend with Liverpool. But what do you think? I'd tip Arsenal for this one for me.
Yeah, I'd if it was at Highbury, I'd be more. Oh, sorry, Emirates, I'd be more confident. But it's at Etihad. But yeah, City are in a period of instability. Even their centre back Garcia had a bit of a crack at him last week. He was playing in the rugby hat against Leicester and had a few errors. Apparently, he wants to leave the club and go back to Barcelona, where he came from.
Yeah,
I think he's from
yeah.
Lamagua. So it's interesting. They're in this time of transition, and it's almost as those really good players, the De Bruyne's and the Sterlings and those guys, Mahrez's, need to go from being good players to being senior players. Like Company was a good footballer, but he was also he was a leader of men, and that sort of thing. There's
Yeah,
not
a
those
village
leader
type.
types need to step up at City, and those senior players need to turn into talisman as opposed to really good footballers. It's a
Yeah.
it's a mental thing rather than a. I mean, De Bruyne is De Bruyne. He's probably the first guy you pick if you pick a Premier League team from scratch. But they're in that period of transition. Arsenal seem to be getting some really good momentum, and Arteta will know how Guardiola thinks about this game, and it could be one of those games where Guardiola overthinks it. He has that tendency at times to overthink things.
Before we get into Liverpool, I like the idea. Like when you look at big teams of the like dynasties or big teams that have lost their leader. I think of Patrick Vieira. I think of Roy Keane. I think of who else? John Terrys, the Didier Drogba's. Liverpool now, even though he's not captain, Van
Dijk?
Dijk as well. Even though he's not captain, I put Van Dijk in that category as well.
Yeah.
Man City can run the risk of being a top 3 club without necessarily winning it every year, just because of that leader position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very underrated, and it's hard to because if the transfer market's built nowadays around buying young players and seeing them develop into something. And you look at clubs that when a good leader comes in, you look at Cantona at United and what that did to the club just because he was a leader. He didn't actually have a great record as a footballer. Like he scored goals in big games, but you look at his goals to game ratio.
No, it's not that.
It wasn't brilliant. He was more of a Bergkamp than a Thierry Henry. You know what I mean? Like that type of player that he was. But the way that he inspired people around him, like you mentioned Roy Keane as well, that can be the difference. At the top, you're looking for fine margins, and personality of a player can be hard to pick, particularly when they're young, because you grow so much in that second half of your career as a leader.
Yeah.
Um, so it's something that kind of circumvents the way that the transfer market works nowadays, because the emphasis is on buying
Mhm.
talent and trying to hold on to it.
Yeah.
Um, and it can make a difference down the stretch. So you wonder who that next leader for City is going to be.
Yeah.
And that's why it was important for Arsenal to hold on to Aubameyang as well. Aubameyang, sorry. Aubameyang, because he
Yeah.
seems to be that talisman for Arsenal.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Even
when
though
you
he's
think about,
playing out of position, he doesn't seem to like playing on the left. He'd rather play up front. He has an important role. He can lift the guys around him. It can make a big
and
difference.
just talking about the leader concept, I'm thinking about Arsenal as well. I'm thinking of before Vieira was Tony Adams, and thinking about Peter Schmeichel United. It's so important, man. And then when you think about these kind of guys, like how much were they bought for? You think about company now with City, 6 million. That's all he cost, and 6 million in 28 or 2009. It's still quite cheap, you know.
Yeah.
This is not 6 million in the 90s where it was, Roy Keane was 2.5 million British transfer record. Um, where are they going to find this guy at this stage? Don't know. Will he be a 22? That's what they probably thought John Stones was, but never quite worked out.
Because you look at someone like Laporte for City, probably a better player than Company, to be honest, better on the
Yeah,
ball and has all the other attributes, but just not the lead. Maybe not the leader yet, but
yeah,
at the moment is not the leader that Company was. Yeah.
yeah. And he comes and just to finish off, that kind of leader position comes with opportune moments as well. In a game, you look at the way City scored against United. Sorry, Company scored against United in 2012. That header goal won them the league, against Leicester, against Burnley. I could just list goes on and on and on. He's built his career on moments, and you could say it's luck, but if it happens for a centre back scoring important goal, I don't think it's luck. I think he just
Once is
sees.
more chance than anything else. You do it repeatedly. Sorry, you don't.
Yeah, the way Ronaldo. I remember you told me back in '07. I think it was '07. Fulham played United. I think it was at Craven Cottage, and Ronaldo scored this like
Idiot.
84th minute goal, and United playing shit. Do you remember that game? And you just told me luck is not about. It's not luck in the way you see it. Luck is just seeing that opportunity that no one else can
Luck is
see, and
seeing
he
something
sees it.
that no one else sees. That's why other
Yeah,
people call it luck. You never call it. If you are a fortunate recipient of the luck, you never call it luck. Everyone else calls it luck because they couldn't see it.
yeah.
And I think he got the ball from halfway and just mazed past everybody else and got a goal. I remember it
So
was
Leicester goal. Oh, you're talking about Ronaldo's goal, yeah. Well, you could say Company's goal against Leicester last year as well. About two
came
seasons
back to
ago now.
yelling and don't shoot. They could all see him lining up to shoot. Don't
You
shoot.
know, you don't shoot. Yeah. Anyway, I think Arsenal got this game, and I think it's two very good teams. It's going to be a good battle. I don't see a pumping at all.
Hmm.
Nice to see. It's always nice to see master against apprentice as well. So
I
just
feel for all of Arsenal's playing well, that there's a point where teams have to work hard to win, and then there's times where everything just slips into place and it's very smooth. And Arsenal is sort of still in that they'll win games, but they're still finding it hard to win. Like last week, they played well, but it was a real grind. They had to work
yeah.
quite hard for that win. So they've got what it takes to win, but at the moment, it's requiring more effort than they probably would like. But
So
when
are
you
you
go
going
to
for City in this game?
these games where you win 5-0 and you 4-0 up after 20 minutes and that sort of thing, you know?
Are you going for City in this game?
I'm going to go draw. If someone nicks it, I think it'll be Arsenal, but I'm just going to go with a draw. I think just the home ground, I think, gives City a goal, which I think will be the difference.
All right, let's finish this off with Everton Liverpool. Boom.
Okay,
Top
so
of the table. Wait, hold on.
the
Sorry,
reigning
Sean.
champions and the table toppers. Yeah.
Top of the table versus fifth in the table. Liverpool on goal difference of 0. Everton goal difference of 7 and 12 points. Calvert-Lewin on absolute fire.
How
Like
many does he have? No?
sorry,
You know how many goals he has? Have you got that? I think it's 8, is it?
6, 6 in what? 6 in 4, but in just incredible style. And you're thinking this is not a case of Danny Ings scoring 20 goals with a very average team. This is a whole team performing with one of the best managers of all time. These are dons. This is matrix level football that Everton's playing right now,
Yeah.
and they're not. It's far fetched to say, and I'm not saying I put €5 on them to win the league 2 weeks ago. I'm not saying that I did,
Yeah. I
but
don't think they're going to be Leicester City.
I did, Sean. But I did. Yeah.
Is that why you labeled the video Everton are going to win the league? Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, it's putting it out there, manifesting. No, I mean, look, chances are they're not. But I'm just saying, I'm just, he's captured my imagination, Calvert-Lewin, absolutely. He's tall. He's good looking. He scores goals. His girlfriend's ridiculously hot. So
Okay,
what do we think?
I better do
Yeah,
some research into him. Yeah.
he's a tall, classy, athletic, but like a little bit light skinned. Like he's just got it. Everything sharp. He's like you, but a bit more athletic. All right.
One thing I noticed when
On a
they
serious note, go on.
Mina got that goal just before half time.
Mm,
And while the celebration was a bit atrocious, the just when you see players like that, he's a sort of a run-of-the-mill Premier League player, doesn't really catch highlights and all that. But when you start seeing those players doing things like when Leicester won the league and like Huth and Wes Morgan turned into the world's greatest centre-back pairing, like you see people step up.
yeah.
Like Calvert-Lewin is probably the first sign of that. But when you start seeing people overachieving, you know that the team's going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just looking at what is their starting 11, right? Mina, Keane in the middle, Coleman, Digne on the right. Like, you think about who they bought. Mina is a Colombian guy, if I'm not wrong,
Yeah, it's
who
Colombian.
played for Inter Milan, was it? Oh,
Yeah,
he was in Barcelona before this, of course.
he didn't play very
Um,
much for Barcelona.
yeah, I mean, he's of that quality is my point, I guess.
But they signed
And
him.
then in the middle you have Decore, Watford player, just again lungs for days. He's got 3 lungs. Davies, Sigurdsson, you got the creativity. Rodriguez, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison up front. Like it's a great. And then you got Ancelotti yelling from the bench. If they go and get a keeper, if they build on this next season and go and get a
Remember they
keeper,
got Pickford?
yeah, who's just making errors for fun.
Oh, that
He's
was
a
a
Kepa.
boy error that he made against. Oh, yeah.
So unless he improves or they go and change the keeper,
There's a lot of talk
with
about him and his lack of
they,
form, isn't there? Yeah.
yeah, they have every chance of establishing themselves in the top 6 the way they were in the early 2000s with Moyes,
Yeah.
early to mid 2000s. They have
People
every chance
forget
of
that
doing that.
Everton, they've won 9 league titles in England.
Yeah.
There's a historically successful club, not for
Well, no,
our lifetime, but they have
well,
achieved.
besides Arsenal, United, and Liverpool, no teams won more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of all the blue shirted teams.
They are a big club.
Yeah.
So just coming back to Liverpool, we've talked about the 7-2. Going to harp on that too much. Obviously, it was
How do you think that will affect them coming into the game? But do you think it will affect them? Because it didn't
I
seem
don't.
like.
I like there was I stayed. No, I was reveling in the in the in the loss because United had lost before and then Liverpool had lost. And
I
Van,
couldn't.
Van
I was the other way around. I was so dwelled so deep in the United loss that it was like, oh, Liverpool lost 7-2, but it didn't. It didn't.
oh,
It was like
instant
I
instant
ate
remedy
it,
for
but I
me.
couldn't digest it. You know what I mean? Whereas United was.
Instant remedy for me. I will say this. I think I saw Van Dijk laugh after the game. He had a giggle and a laugh. He giggled at the reporter, and I was like, oh, this guy knows it's a one-off. They
I
could
worry
like
with him that because he's a bit like Rio. He's got that sort of confidence bordering on arrogance, and he
I
needs to
agree.
be careful it doesn't slip into that arrogance.
I
But I
don't
love
think he
his
will.
confidence. I love his confidence, and he's the best centre back in the league.
Yeah.
But you still start to think, is that going to be an issue? So, but it's up to them
Um.
to prove it.
Yeah. Liverpool have always turned up for big games, and this is a huge game. Just because put everything away, put the league away, put everything away. This is one of the biggest derbies in the world, let alone in England. I don't see any problem, but I'm not saying they'll win by any means. I'm just saying I don't think they will even come close to letting in 2 goals, 3 goals. Saying that, Calvert-Lewin just scored against Wales. He's still on form. He scored with a very average England side, putting balls into him. I see a nice 1-0, if not a 2-0 win for Liverpool, 2-1 win for Liverpool. Excuse me. What about you?
Yeah, I find it hard to pick a winner.
Yeah.
Liverpool just seem to have a bit more about them. They seem to know how to win. We seem a bit surprised when Everton win, but we're not surprised when Liverpool win. So I'll go with that 2-1 for Liverpool as well. That battle for me, the base of Liverpool's midfield, that's going to be very interesting with Rodriguez in there, James, sorry, perhaps up
Yeah.
against Alcantara or someone like that. That's a proper
Well, no,
war.
Alcantara can't play. Sadio Mane can't play either.
Alcantara got COVID, sorry.
Yeah, and Sadio Mane got
I
COVID
know
as well.
Mane got it. Yeah, I didn't realize Alcantara got it.
Yeah, but he
How
won't be
Liverpool?
out. Oh, maybe he will. Maybe he will. Maybe he will. But can you trust him to play 90 minutes after COVID?
Yeah.
He'd have touch of the kind of rust in the lungs, that kind of thing.
the
Um, so
that Everton's attacking midfielders versus Liverpool's defensive midfielders. That's going to be a very
yeah,
important battle in that game. I haven't seen much of Henderson this season. Has he been playing?
He's out. He's still injured.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's like kind of a very moderate knee injury. Not the 8-month kind. I think it's more like the 2-month kind.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They want to keep him right.
I mean, it's
when he
kind of
comes back,
shown
a lot
a
of
little
games,
bit as well. It's a good point you made there. It's a good point you made. It's kind of shown Henderson's impact.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, the bang average Henderson. Apparently, I've never rated him, but I've come to understand the last 2 or 3 seasons how important
And
he
that's
is to the
leadership.
side.
We talked about leadership with company. He's kind
Yeah,
of that. Van Dijk's a leader, but Henderson's also a leader.
yeah.
And you get the feeling
Um,
like Alisson, Salah, they're leaders as well.
and just to touch one last thing I wanted to touch on was Trent Alexander for me has just been very poor this season, absolutely poor, and I think he's getting figured out a little bit. And although he's still young, there are 100 ways you can change a game at 19, 20, 21, whatever he is. It will be interesting because, again, it's Richarlison, James, and who was the other guy? Richarlison, James, and
Oh, who is it? Oh.
Jesus, I've just forgotten this.
Yeah, I forgot.
Calvert-Lewin.
It's an English.
Calvert-Lewin. Sorry, Calvert-Lewin.
No, but then they
The,
play four two
the
three
front three.
one.
The front three.
I thought they
It's,
played. I thought they played 4-2-3. Did they play 4-3-3?
they play 4-3-3, but I think James like kind of drops in behind the two of them. But as far as lineups go, so I'd be interested to see a very tricky Richarlison against Trent, or even James, who's very intelligent on the ball. It'd be a good time for Trent to kind of I've had a few shit games.
Remember sniffing into the game. He's a local boy.
Yeah. Okay, so to kind of wrap up as usual, play of the round, Sham. So do you want me to go through those games again? Or you have something in your mind?
I was thinking that I was going to say with that Everton Liverpool. I think that combination, whoever plays, I know this is a bit broad, but whoever plays defensive midfield for Liverpool, they'll play that 3 with the one at the back.
That's very specific. That's very specific.
Whoever plays that role, I think it'll probably be Fabinho. I think
Fabinho, yeah.
The way that he plays, I think, just in terms of settling his defense, in terms of nullifying the balls into Calvert-Lewin, I think I want to put it on Fabinho. I think that's a very important role. If Van der Beek plays for United, I'll put Van der Beek as well, because I think United need a lift, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I think it could come from him. But I'm going to put it Fabinho would be my player to watch.
And for me, if he plays, I think Alex Telles could make a difference. There's always a bit of a spark, new player, a new player performance kind of thing. And I'd like to see him play. I'm very excited to see him play. If Cavani is playing, it'd be Cavani, to be honest. I think he's got a few goals in him for the season. But yeah, that's my player, Telles.
He'll be hungry, Cavani, just because no one picked him up. You're a professional footballer. You played for PSG when they made the European Cup final. I don't think he played all the games. I think he was on the bench, actually. But you'd be hungry to prove people wrong. And like we said before, he's a Uruguayan, so...
He's classy, but no, so is he classy, athletic? I don't know. You decide.
In Australia, we had massive battles against Uruguay. There was 2001 to qualify for the 2002 World Cup.
I remember, yeah.
Played a 2-legged game against Uruguay, and they beat us in the second leg of Montevideo. And then 2006 it was the other way around. So it's a generation ago, but Australians know how good Uruguay
is. Didn't you score the penalty?
In terms of their technical ability. Yeah.
Didn't you score the penalty? Wasn't it you?
Yeah, my half brother John Aloisi. Yeah.
On that note, thanks for watching, everyone. We're the 5 Hour Pass podcast previewing the games this weekend. Don't forget to catch Everton Liverpool 12:30. It's probably the biggest one for the weekend. My name is Sudi. This is Sham. Keep football simple, and as always,
and keep passing. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.